Hello, my friends. I am so excited to be here with Susan Clement. She's the producing artistic director at the Blue Barn Theater, celebrating 35 years this year. I can't.
Yes.
Susan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's nice to see you.
It's good to see
Even
you
if
too.
even if it is via Zoom, it's nice to see
Yeah.
your sweet face.
Yeah, it's so good to see you too. Wow. Let's just start. We're going to talk about the season coming up, which is exciting, and then there's an event around the 35th anniversary. But let's talk about the history of the Blue Barn.
Sure, sure. Well, like you said, we are turning 35 years old this coming season. And, really, we started with a bunch of us that were in an actors training program, SUNY Purchase. It was one of the top 10 in the country at the time. And we all were in the same acting company. And part of that training was really inspiring us to go out and create our own theater company. So here we are 35 years later in the middle of Nebraska, creating contemporary, wonderful professional theater.
Do you remember kind of what some of those early productions were in the first few years? Or something that stands out that you were excited about? I'm just throwing this at you. So
yeah, absolutely. So the founding members, Houston Walkinshaw, Nils Holland, Kevin Lawler, and also Mary Teresa Green, who actually was from Nebraska. They started off by doing The Empty Plow, which was an original piece, America in Pieces. But I think one of the most unique things was we started in the old Bemis building. Ree Schonlau gifted us a room, and sometimes we would perform shows for 1 to 3 people.
Wow.
But we would still do it, and really throughout the seasons, it's been amazing to see. We still have some patrons that have been with us 35 years, which says something about us, I think, and about them.
Well, absolutely. And so you were there, and then you moved. So let's just talk about a little bit. Was that the place that you were at before you moved into where you're at now? I mean,
we've been through a couple of different production spots. The first one was a room, like I said, at the Bemis.
Right.
And that was where Kevin and Nils and Houston and Mary Teresa created work. And then one by one, I came out, I guess it would have been the second year. And we ended up on 13th Street, right next to the donut stop.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a restaurant. So we were there for quite a few years. And then we were booted out of there for some reason that I can't remember now. And we ended up in the old market.
Right.
Just down the street from the Upstream for 11 seasons.
Yeah.
And then we really had no home for about 3 years, and we did traveling shows. We did one at the courthouse. We did one at the Burlington building when it was still, a gutted building. And then we got the opportunity to build from the ground up on 10th and Pacific, which is where we are now. And that happened seven seasons ago already.
Are you serious? I can't believe that.
I know, right?
Wow. Because it is a beautiful building, and there's just so much. I mean, if whoever's watching this has not been there, we're going to talk about the season and get yourself there. It's a beautiful building. What are some things that like just any things that pop for you over the last, I mean, in your instance, 34 years that you want to share? I'm just kind of throwing these questions at you without any preparation.
No, that's fine. That's fine. The first thing that comes to my mind, and it sounds kind of trite or cheesy, but it's not. It's the truth. I think the biggest thing that I always think about when somebody asks me about our history and longevity is our patrons. I always go back to our patrons / supporters / funders. Yeah. And, here we are, a bunch of New York trained artists that never in our wildest dreams did we think that we would have our own 96-seat professional house in Omaha, Nebraska. And I think that's one of the things that is unique to Blue Barn are our patrons. They will, even from the beginning, when we had 2 or 3 people in the house, you know, and some of our work was really wild and unexpected, very contemporary, not your, I would say not your traditional theater, that they still, over the years, even we have patrons from 80 years old to down to 15 is really the youngest that we suggest coming here, because we do contemporary adult theater.
Sure.
But they come back. Even if a patron says, oh, that play wasn't for me, but I'll see you next show, because they trust us as artists to guide them and lead them into stories they would never experience elsewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe in New York or Chicago. You know?
Yeah. I love it. And you said something, I'm going to kind of go back. I don't know if I can capture it in my brain. But let's just move, let's just kind of move forward. It might come back, but let's talk about the upcoming season. And let's first talk about what goes into picking a season, selecting a season.
That's a great question. So there are a lot of traditional ways that theater companies all over the country choose their seasons. People have reading committees, people have, I don't know, really just reading committees, but some of them are quite large. And it's one of Blue Barn's, I think, unique heartbeats in how we choose our season. We really are artist driven, we're artist created, we're artist born, right? As far as building this theater. And we still choose our plays from a personal, either a personal passion about a particular storyline, or a play that we've always wanted to produce, or a new play that we saw somewhere and we know that it needs to be in Omaha. So, and then there's a great story with Houston and I when we were running the company together years ago. We could not find, we usually do 5 shows a season, and we could not find our 5th show. We just could not. We kept reading, and then I went upstairs. It was in the old space in the old market, and I hit the stair railing, and it hit the bookshelf that was in front of it, and it knocked a play off of it. And so I went down to pick it up, and it was a play called The Dresser. And I held it up to Houston, and I said, this is it. And that's how so really organically, you know, we don't have big committees. We tried that once, tried to put, you know, a different shape to our choosing our season. Sure. And it just didn't work. It's like, why break the mold that's worked for 35 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you just about kind of theater in general, in Omaha. And let me see if I can, this is very organic too, because I'm asking you things that aren't on my official talking list sheet. So I mean, where do you see Omaha? You know, we've gone through, you know, I think, you know, COVID knocked everybody off a little bit, but there's really been a journey for 35 years, and kind of where, you know, it's not a comparison, but kind of over the years and where we're at now, what are people demanding or requiring or asking for from theater? Can you answer that? Or is that, I'm not even sure if that's a great question.
No, it's an interesting question for sure. I can only speak for Blue Barn.
Sure, absolutely.
And he's right. You know, our audience demands that we trust them in what they can experience on our stage, story-wise, and they demand that we don't condescend to them. We don't choose stories that preach to them, and really our patrons don't demand anything, you know. We demand of ourselves as artists to produce work on stage that hopefully will connect with them individually and create change,
right,
that they will take and go out into their community and their neighborhood and take that message out, whatever it is that they learned or got from that show, and create change in their own community. Does that make
No,
sense?
I know that's awesome. I mean, that again, that question, I loved it. I mean, I always love chatting with you, because that just kind of came up to me, and yeah, no, that's great. It's
I think a lot of theaters, this is just, again, my opinion,
Mhm.
in the nationally, I'm just going to speak on a bigger, under
Sure.
a bigger umbrella. I think there's a big, it's a mistake for theater companies to, and again, I probably should just talk about Blue Barn, but I see other theater companies around the country, if they're like, especially after COVID, if they're trying to get more patrons back in, that they start sending out sheets asking, what shows do you want to see here? And I just think that the mission that we started with, to provoke thought, emotion, action, and change, it's been the same from day one. It's still the same. And you get mission creep, we call it, right? Where people aren't trusting that themselves as artists, and they're not able to trust themselves as leaders in their storytelling, and they start trying. Does that?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, and that kind of segues into I do want to just chat briefly about where do you find your people, to the performers, the artists that come in and then do perform the great work that you decide on.
Sure. So locally, we have an extremely gifted talent pool locally.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of unusually gifted in this area. And now Blue Barn, in the last years, first of all, we're the first people, other than the Rose Theater, the Children's Theater, we started an artist fund because we believe our artists deserve to be paid. And we started that quite a few years ago, and we've incrementally built as part of our strategic plan to, and we are now really a theater that pays all artists on and off stage. So now we're opening our doors, we're widening the net, and bringing in artists from all over the country. We really have, and we really find that's kind of a magical blend of local and national artists. And we're doing more and more and more of that. And it also helps widen our the ability to bring in different voices, right?
Sure.
Different storytelling, new works. So that is, I think, one of the most exciting things that's happening now.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about the 35th season. What are you most excited about, or what's happening this season? Talk about this. Just talk about the season.
Sure. The season theme is Spark, and came up with that just because literally the Blue Barn was a spark of an idea 35 years ago. And it goes with a lot of things: the creative spark, the spark of change, the ignition of a new idea, enlightenment. And so sometimes we'll choose a season and the plays will create a theme. And this time we chose the theme of spark first, and then chose plays accordingly. The season's great. I mean, we're starting off with Macbeth, and it's really going to be, I mean, a hot Macbeth. It's unusual. We have a director from New York City coming in, and she's known for really unique visuals in her storytelling. So we're super excited about that. And then we're doing Die Hard, which we've done 2 other seasons. And, we call that, actually one of my board members called it the gateway play, because if you're not really a theater goer, a lot of people know Die Hard, the movie, right? And they come and see this show. So, and that's fun. It's one that it's just full of joy and laughter. And then we have The Great Leap, which is going to be directed by YM, which is wonderful. He directed the Chinese Lady show last year, which was really just a unique, beautiful piece of theater. And he'll direct that. And that's about a Chinese American basketball connection. And it has really unexpected twists and turns. And the ending is jaw dropping. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah. More of a Heart is a play that was read this season at Great Plains Theater Commons, and we're in partnership with them in this production. And that is, this was written by a playwright who has autism, is autistic, and it is about the autistic experiences of a young adult boy and his mother, and then there are two other people in it as well, and really about how that character, that boy, handles how he is being, and I say this in quotes, handled because of his autism. It's a beautifully moving story. And then we have POTUS, which is, I mean, we're super thrilled to have been able to get this show. The full title is, I'm going to read it because, you know, it's POTUS, or Behind Every Dumbass Are 7 Women Trying to Keep Him Alive. And this is, it's, Tina Fey was in it. It's a really wild farce of a show, 7 women, and you never see the president, you never see the male president, and it brought the house down on Broadway. So we're super excited to do that one. And then we have a couple of really incredible, we're calling them Spark Ups. And one is with Camille Matoya Moten and Kathy Tyree. December, I believe it's December 8th and 9th, that they're going to do a 2-night only special event of, it's called 'Tis the Season, of show tunes and jazz tunes. And holiday tunes. So that'll be great as well. So it's a celebratory season. I'm again grateful to be celebrating 35 years. We'll have a big bash on October 14th, celebrating our 35 years of professional theater here. What else? So many things. A lot of community connective pieces throughout each show. We have a new thing that we started last season that we're continuing with. Jared Spence is curating an art show within our lobby. Is in response to every show. And he started it last year and it just went over gangbusters. We have art chats before shows with all local artists again. And that's really been, it's really enlivened our lobby area during intermission and prior to the show. And also our audience bases loved it.
Again, first, I mean, congratulations. I mean, wow. So much happening, so much evolution, so much just everything that I think keeps, you know, what you're doing so strong and relevant and just people wanting more. So
they do. Our season tickets are on sale now, and I know people always say we're selling out, but we really are. We're selling our season tickets right now, and they're going like gangbusters, which is thrilling, you know, especially after COVID and people were a little slow to come back and sit in the audience, and that really, we need each other in those experiences too, to sit in the same room and experience somebody else's story and see how their story affects us together. You know?
Absolutely. So website bluebarn.org. You can find out all the information about this season, so many other wonderful things. We are getting close to being out of time, or actually we were out of time like 5 minutes ago, but this has been such a freaking amazing conversation with you, Susan. I love talking with you and what's happening. It just excites the heck out of me, and just encourage everybody. Go get season tickets, just go.
We also have a new, just quickly, we have a new season membership. It's a young arts program, and it's 35 and under. You can get season tickets for $100. So
Okay,
we're trying
wow.
to inspire, and that's really also selling really well. Get the younger crowd in here as well, you know.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to be celebrating 35 seasons, and I can't wait to see what happens for the next 35.
Yeah.
Here.
Absolutely. Well, Susan, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for an incredible conversation. I'm really grateful for you, and thank you.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you. You have great questions. I always love speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and folks, don't go away. We will be right back.